So the San Francisco 49ers drafted Trey Lance, which I got the idea like, hey, I should just make a video talking about how he'll fit in that system. Because I think a lot of people keep saying he'll fit in the system, but I'm sure some of you want to actually see it. So I'm going to make a film study breaking down exactly how he will fit in the system. Because I agree, it's a perfect fit. And it's very similar to what he did in North Dakota State, which is he would, hand the ball off, hand the ball off, hand the ball off, and then finally throw. So let's talk about how he'll fit in this Kyle Shanahan system, and let's just jump into the film study. So we'll start off with this play. What's going to happen is it's quarters coverage. I believe it's quarters coverage. Sometimes the broadcast footage confuses me, and also because, let's just be honest, the college players, especially when it's double A, they don't necessarily always do what they're supposed to do, which can make it even more difficult to read the coverages because I'm not in the huddle with them. But anyways, that's not really important. It's going to be a play action. You see the route on the screen that Trey Lance wants to throw to. That's what's important. And watch, right when this play starts, you notice Trey Lance fakes the handoff, but there's a little bit of pressure. Not an insane amount of pressure. He can easily move around this, but still, he has to navigate around it. And he wants to make this throw basically right now. Timing is everything in the NFL, and the timing has gotten disrupted on this play, and timing is everything in college too. So timing disrupted. He's going to have to move over and get rid of this ball quickly. But watch him sidestep and still get rid of that ball quickly. So that's kind of got to be something that I just think Kyle Shanahan saw and was like, that's awesome. That's a guy that would be great in my system, because it absolutely would. And let's talk about something like this. So it's going to be zone coverage. And again, the camera angle, they're showing very little of the screen. So we're working with what we have. But the way this is going to work is essentially you have two tight ends. One kind of runs towards the corner of the screen, which hopefully gets the player in charge of covering that zone to cover him. The other tight end kind of cuts over. He gets open. This is not unlike what the 49ers will do, or what any Kyle Shanahan team has done. Sort of get these zone busters going. And the main reason I want to show this play is not going to be about the play itself. It's going to be more so about his arm. And one of the things that Trey Lance does well that I think he doesn't get enough credit for is his throws over the middle, his zip on the ball, the way that he can play against zone coverage. He didn't do it a ton at North Dakota State, so that's why he doesn't get enough credit for it. But the few times he was asked to do it, he always looked sharp, in my opinion. And watch how right when this play starts, I mean, you notice, again, look at the throw. Look at how he just gets it where he needs to be, pinpoint accuracy. Are there guys who could get it there a little bit quicker? Sure. Is that a problem? No, his is still really good, and he's accurate, so that's what I like about him. And then you have something like this, where what's going to happen on this play is it's going to be zone coverage that he's going up against. It's a quarters coverage. But again, a lot of what they would do is run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, play action, throw over the top. And so on this play, it is going to be a play action. And then you see Lance throws this one, and there's a wide open receiver. So that's the first thing you have to mention. It's North Dakota State. Everyone's always open. That's just how this works, which is kind of why it's difficult to truly evaluate really anyone. I said the same thing with Raduns, who's the tackle, who I like a lot. His tape looks awesome, but it is still against a lot more inferior competition, which is kind of the issue. But anyways, still, what you can grade is the throw itself. And this throw appears to be good. I mean, it's kind of a weird angle the receiver takes, but it looks like a good throw there. And even if you want, take out that one play, but just take my word for it, there was a million good deep throws. So if that's something Shanahan wants to do, which every now and then he will take his shot deep, well, now he has a guy who can do that. And there's also stuff like this. So this is a key play, I think, in really talking about why Trey Lance was the guy and not Mac Jones, which, listen, people kind of poo-pooed the Mac Jones take for forever, but I didn't think it was that crazy. Now, I would have agreed that it seems more logical that Jones would fall to 12, and honestly, I think it wasn't out of the question that Lance could have fallen to 12. So if we want to really talk about that, then we can get into it. But more about the Jones versus Lance just in a vacuum, I think this is a big part of why they wanted Lance. They're going up against zone coverage, which that's just going to happen against Kyle Shanahan-led teams. As a quarterback, you're going to see a lot of zone, because if you play man coverage, it's just too difficult to stop Shanahan's running game. No matter who his halfback is, he's going to get a good running game going. So you kind of have to play zone, make sure someone's always in the area. And in doing that, then a lot of times what you have to do is as a quarterback, you have to be able to play against zone. And so once this play starts, it was only a 3-man rush, by the way, but it was kind of a wild 3-man rush. So creative stuff. Lance is under pressure right here because of that. So even though there's only the 3-man rush, play kind of gets disrupted. He has a receiver he wants to hit. But again, very similar to the first play. The timing is necessary. He has to get the ball here, but he's also under pressure. And one thing that Mac Jones, I think, does an okay job at is he's fine at navigating the pocket. But when you want him to sort of navigate the pocket and throw on the move, it's not his specialty. Let's just say that. Typically, when Jones has to hurry up his throwing motion, it's not ideal. Lance is the far superior quarterback at that. And I think that that might be something that Shanahan values more than a lot of people realized. Just watch how Lance on the move and off balance makes this throw. So really good throw by Trey Lance. And then again, it's North Dakota State, so that ends up being a touchdown because again, that's just what they do. But for Lance, very good throw to be able to move off balance and do that. I wonder if that's something that Shanahan just wants when there is pressure to not have a Jimmy Garoppolo or, let's be honest, Jimmy Garoppolo in those situations, things could sometimes go very wrong. Let's talk about his just straight up running game for a second. This is going to be, he's going to keep it himself and run up the middle. You have a receiver in motion, also a back. They're kind of going to fake as though it could be there. The offensive line blocks to their right, and Lance follows them. That's kind of how this play works. It's a 3rd down and 5. And I want to talk about the running game because I keep hearing all the time, oh, his running game, it's unbelievable. And it's solid, but there's one main issue with his running game that I think is key. Like, watch, right when this play starts, he fakes a handoff, and really you notice that there's going to be a player who's going to create some contact. My main issue with Lance is I feel like a lot of his running game is predicated on his ability to be able to break tackles. While he is fast, a lot of it tends to be his ability to break tackles as well. And watch how, he does break this tackle, it is able to run, and he's going to pick up a ton of yards. And on one hand, that might actually be a good thing when he gets to the NFL, just simply because, let's be honest, a lot of guys don't want to hit you hard if you're a quarterback because you'll get a penalty. So that might be a factor, actually. But typically, what I always say with non-quarterbacks is I'm a little bit concerned when a lot of your value comes from breaking tackles or from being able to juke people out, just because a lot of those moves and a lot of those broken tackles don't work in the NFL. A lot of times when an NFL player gets his hand on you, you fall down. When in college, that isn't the case. A bit too much of his running game is predicated on that. And while he is fast, he's not Lamar Jackson fast. He actually, I feel like, accelerates a tad slowly, which is kind of the main thing you want a quarterback to do, is accelerate quickly. It's not awful, but it's just not great. And so I think his running game, tad overrated. That's what I would say. It's still pretty good. He'll show some highlights, absolutely. But I wonder how many of these highlights are just great college plays, but wouldn't be great NFL plays because NFL guys would get to you quicker and make a tackle. And really what it comes down to is he's not RG3 in the Shanahan offense. I don't think running is going to be the key aspect of his game. I think that it's going to be passing. I think that he is a passer. That's what he does best. And I think don't put him in a position to fail by relying on his running game too much. Use it here and there. They should absolutely have him run the ball like 5-6 times a game. I'm just saying it's not a Lamar Jackson where you have him run the ball 15 times a game, or an RG3 where you had him run the ball 15 times a game. He's a passer. Focus on that, which I think most people knew. But yeah, that's a very real, very important thing. And he has much better pocket presence than, say, a Justin Fields does or a Mac Jones. So the pocket presence is absolutely there. The mobility is there. And he's got a pretty big arm, and he's really good at, I would say, everything. His throwing motion is a little bit off, a little bit longer, but not bad. It works. And the reality is with Trey Lance, there's just so much to like about him. And I think that I'm absolutely rooting for the guy. I was someone who said that Mac Jones would have been the better fit, but I'm not mad at Trey Lance whatsoever. They're both good quarterbacks. I don't totally agree that Trey Lance has the highest ceiling over Jones. I think both of them have high ceilings. And my only concern about Lance is just we're kind of doing this off of, like, I feel like we have only a couple hundred passes that we're really evaluating him on. And it was against much, if you want to talk about inferior competition with Wilson, it's ramped up to 11 and then some when it comes to Trey Lance. And that's really my only concern, is when there is contested throws down the field, how good will his deep ball be? I don't know, but probably good. I would bet on him instead of betting against him. There's a couple concerns, but mostly just positives, and his tape is awesome. That's what I think. What do you guys think? And also, I should mention, like, Carson Wentz came out of there. So there is history of, yeah, you can be a good quarterback from there. So if that's something you're into, well, there you go. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.